just do it with Miami Dolphins. The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphin touchdown. Going deep upfield on the near side. Man open. Touchdown! Looking deep. He's got it there. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again. Touchdown! Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Phnish Line.
I coached a great offensive lineman in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs in that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one as we welcome y'all into the Phnish Line. I'm joined, as always, by the legendary Richmond Webb, Triple OG, Mr. BallGame. Gentlemen, coming off a great panel show yesterday with Doug Lee, Neil, Kevin Dern, Martin. We still have a jam-packed show tonight. And, hey, we are just another mere 24 hours closer since we last met to kick off for the NFL season tomorrow night and towards Sunday when the Chargers and the Dolphins play. And I hope y'all got your little predictions ready for the end of the show, because I've already let it be known to everyone who's been watching me. I think we're going to – I already put my prediction out there. I think we're going to win 24-13. I think we're going to hand them their proverbial booty. And so, we'll talk about that. But, hey, man, good to see you again. Long time no see, Richmond.
Long time. I see you ain't got the Lokes on tonight either.
No pity.
Shining bright over there. Looking good. And Triple OG, 1, 2, 3 down there. What's doing over there, OG? No, man, everything is good. It was actually good to be on with everyone last night. And I mean, I could feel the positive energy, and it's good. I think when you get around people that truly have football knowledge, you always get different perspectives and you learn stuff, and then you look at it a different way and say, oh, yeah, I ain't really look at it that way. But, Kevin, Neil, you2, Martin, Dudley, everybody, it was good. So I really enjoyed it. And I think when you had that many people and everybody is kind of contributing, it really didn't seem like the show was as long as it was. Everything flowed real smoothly. I think the people in the chat, really enjoyed it. And I was on Twitter there a little bit, and people was giving you shout outs and stuff and saying how much they enjoyed the show. So it was good. I think everybody ready for the season to start. Like you say, Thursday night, they kick it off tomorrow. But, we waiting for Sunday at 4:25 Eastern for the Fins and the Chargers to kick it off. So definitely happy the season's back around and we finna play some real football. So I'm looking forward to it. How you doing, Mr. Singapore?
Hey, man, things are good, man.
Call the Singapore sling tonight. Let's go.
It's all good, man. Let's get it. It's football. It's football time now. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Florida State 1-0. Dolphins gonna be 1-0 after Sunday. It's good. It's a good space to be in, bro. Chargers
you feeling yourself a little right now, huh? Ball game, huh?
Who Florida State got this weekend? Ball game? Oh, y'all got a bye this week.
Nah, we got a bunch of bums. We playing.
Okay.
That's a good question. Yeah, there ain't nobody special. I'll get back to you on that. I don't even know.
Okay, that's cool.
I was supposed to be. Yeah. It ain't gonna matter.
All right.
They gonna win them all.
Come on, bro. Let's go. Who is it? Come on. You know this like the back of your head.
Oh. They playing they playing Southern Miss, man. They gonna beat them by 40, bro. Yeah. Southern Miss, nobody, bro.
Not even Old Miss. You got Southern Miss.
That's a high school team in college.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, wrong
That's
miss.
a money game. You know what I mean? That's one of them games where we got to go give some money back. You know what I'm saying? Do some charity work. So just like fam, you going to play South Florida this weekend. In this next week. You know what I mean? This week. So that's one of them games.
Got to get that cheddar. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Joe says 3 days, 19 hours, and 14 minutes, but who's counting? And he also became a YouTube member tonight. So shout out to Hooked Up Joe. All right, gentlemen, let's get some opening saying before we get into the bulk and the crux of all the good stuff. I don't know if you saw it today, but that little podcast came out with Adam Schefter, and there was a quote in it from Troy Aikman where he said, I had a chance initially and I was going to do it quite honestly. I was going to come back. And the Dolphins were looking at me. Dave Wanstead was the head coach. Norv Turner was the offensive coordinator. I had trained that offseason, prepared to come back and play. And they felt like they were a quarterback away from achieving what they wanted to do. So I was going to do it. I thought we'll give it another shot. Rick Spielman was the general manager, and he ultimately was the one, I believe, that decided not to sign me, which is probably a good thing from their perspective. And it's a great thing from my perspective because they weren't a quarterback away. I think they won 6 games that year. They were not very good. It worked out just fine. That was speaking of returning in the 2003 season. I'll start with you, Ball Game, because more from the fan perspective. We'll get Richmond's opinion on it too. But we always looked at that time period of us being a quarterback away. When we had Ricky, when we had that defense. We made a crack about it yesterday about that Sports Illustrated cover where everyone looked like they're in the proper place except Jay Fiedler on the front of it when it was Ricky.
Jay Fiedler.
Yeah, John, JT, and Jason Taylor, and obviously Zach Thomas and Jay Fiedler. What are your thoughts about where Aikman was at that point? I mean, do you think it would have been another Trent Green situation where he was just a concussion waiting to happen because he had like 10 or 12 documented by that point in his career, or where were you at on that? Like, did you see that in yourself? Man, if we would have had him, maybe we could have made a run.
Well, let's be clear. I think that, no matter how many concussions we were talking about, Trent Green and Troy Aikman, that's 2 different levels of quarterback. So across the board, we just needed a guy, man, that was better than any of the options we currently had at that point. Mm-hmm. And him having been, they stiffed around. I wouldn't have been upset with it because, at the end of the day, the dude was phenomenal in Dallas. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, the concussions and all those things happen. That's just part of the game. But to have brought him in to kick the tires on it, why not? You know what I mean? It wasn't no worse than what we already had anyway. So I always look at it. I said, if you have an opportunity to go out and change the dynamics of any position on your team, if you have that option, exhaust it, do it to the fullest, so you don't, at least you can have to look back over the situation and say, damn, I wish I had her. You feel me? Because, you never know. He could have been, sometimes it takes leadership at that position to get guys to fall into place and do things that, are in them, but they just haven't been pushed out of them type of thing. And exactly. Him having the leadership and having the pedigree coming from Dallas, that could have changed the whole dynamics of the situation. So it is what it is. But I wouldn't have been upset with it. I actually at that point in time I had one team that I was really rooting for still. I mean, I think everybody to some degree is a little bit of a Cowboy fan. So
Yeah.
You have to love him, man. It's a big brash.
Robert,
the biggest brash.
listen, can I be honest with you, ball game? I thought Aikman was overrated as hell. I thought Emmitt Smith was overrated as hell. I thought Michael Irvin was the real deal. I thought Terrell, when he was there and even before, when he was obviously a 49er and an Eagle as such, he was the real deal. I thought Aikman and Emmitt were products of that great. We're talking that 90s was like they put together. Richmond can attest to it. That's arguably one of the best offensive line groups that has ever existed. You know what I mean? Like they were winning championships off the back of that group and going to Super Bowls off the back of that group. That's how I believe, at least. Like, that's how I view it. I don't view Aikman. Aikman, I'll give was a warrior. I'll say Aikman was a warrior, but do I look at him like I think Kurt Warner was a better quarterback than Troy Aikman?
Okay.
I'm
not in a position to argue into that. My thing is, I know I've seen firsthand. I got mushed as a freshman by Emmitt. That dude was different. And and everybody had their opinion of Emmitt Smith, but Emmitt Smith was different.
Barry Sanders
in high school and college. It's different when you're on the field with it and you right there, and that motherfucker pulling away from you, and you got everything. It's
terrible when he went to Arizona, and that
that's back end though. That's already beat up and done.
Frank Gore was still good on the back end.
I think
my thing with Emmitt was Emmitt would have never done what he did behind that Detroit Lions offensive line. No way. The Barry Sanders was the guy at that time. That's how I felt.
I wouldn't even.
If you would have put Barry on that fucking Cowboys team, they might have never lost.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have a conversation with anybody if they were looking to try to talk about who's better between those two. I'm just
telling you my feelings because I don't think I've ever told you that. I think Emmitt Smith was one of the most overrated players in the 90s. That's just my feeling.
Yeah, I gotta disagree with you on that one. But it's
that's fine.
I'm from here, right? I watched it for all my I got mushed by as a freshman. I got and when he ran for 392 yards on us. So like it's different. They're different from me. But I get what you're saying, right? They did have that damn mountain of O-line and whatnot, but like you still got to have the back, even though you got all that, the back still got to have supreme vision. The back still got to be able to do all of the things that Emmitt was able to do. He was able to block. He was able to catch out the backfield. He never went down on the first hit. None of those type of things. His balance was impeccable. But yeah, you talk about a completely different animal when we're dealing with Barry Sanders. I don't think there's ever a back that could do what Barry did behind such a trash O-line and then still be able to, you take a 4-yard loss, take a 5-yard loss, take a 2-yard loss, and then rip off an 85-yard run. You know what I mean? Like nobody tops across the board. That's just insane. That's like Tecmo Bowl. You feel me? Like where you would run backwards and then you go up, down, and then you take off and you just lose the whole defense. That was Barry Sanders, and he did it on the Tecmo Bowl game. He did it in real life. So nobody else, I don't think any other back is ever going to be able to come back and ever be anything remotely close to that. He was special. Those that were able to witness that, you witnessed true greatness. And then, and I don't even have Emmitt. I got Emmitt number 3 because Walter is second.
Ever?
To me.
Oh,
I got who?
Damn, we're gonna get into this conversation, eh?
No, we don't have to. I'm looking at productivity, right?
Oh no, I'm not looking for an argument or a debate. I'm just saying that's a good conversation to have. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Who would I just top 3?
It is.
Who would I just top 3? Because I didn't watch Walter, right?
Walter was special, bro.
Yeah, but I didn't see the ball. I was born in '85. I didn't see the greatness of Walter. I saw the back end, he was coming out of the back end when I was a kid, right? The best if Ricky would have ran for longer, I would put him up there because that time period where he was a Dolphin was some of the best. But Barry's probably one for me. Man, I got to put, you know what? LaDainian's got to be up there for me.
He's in my top 5 all time.
He's Phillip Rivers, 5. Bro, Phillip Rivers never even sniffed an AFC Championship win with that team he had in that running game is just unbelievable, bro. LaDainian. And my top 3 I've seen would probably be, there you go. That's it. It would be Barry, Peters, AP, and I would go LaDainian would be the best that I've seen in my lifetime.
And I can't argue that. That's a good list, man. Because you have to go off of, like.
Because even I was too young for Bo. I remember Bo, but I was young as hell, right? Like I wasn't like.
Yeah, he got robbed, man. He got robbed.
Yeah. And he'd probably be at the top of that list if he wouldn't have got robbed, right? Because I would have watched the whole career. Yeah.
There's a lot of them though, bro. A lot of great backs, man.
I was young. Samuel, 85 baby. But I missed all the greatness of Marcus Allen in college and his early years. It's just like I didn't watch OJ early on. Because again, 85 baby, right? I'm an 85 baby. So I'm not going to sit here and speak on highlights because I can make a highlight reel package of you two as running backs and people are going to think you're the greatest thing in the world, right? Like that's just, so I didn't experience the greatness, so I can't speak on it. That's where I'm coming from.
No, I mean, I respect.
Earl and Dickerson.
I respect your list.
Marshall Falk. Marshall Falk would be a top 5 for me.
He's in there. Yeah.
He was amazing. Yeah.
It's tough because Dickerson was fault. He was fault before fault. You feel me? Just with a higher running style. You know what I mean? With them high. Yeah. So. And Earl,
look at Robert saying everyone's sleeping on Jim Brown, but bro, I wasn't around, brother.
Yeah.
This guy Reggie Bush. This guy says Reggie Bush. Yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah, like I won't argue. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing.
NFL Reggie, college Reggie.
My thing, college Reggie was incredible. Just like college Vince Young. Oh my God.
Vince Young.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh man. Remember that USC Texas game, bro? You remember that? Yeah. Oh man, that's one of the best national championships I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, what was I gonna? Whatever. We're going off here. All right. So what I was gonna say with Emmett, you can't. The easy argument for Emmett is look at the rings, bro. People are getting like, that's just my preference of watching the guy, right? To me, Arizona is where I really, you know why I think I lost respect for him? This is why I lost respect for him. I can actually, he was done and he went to Arizona just to beat Walter when Barry backed off at 30 and said, I don't want to keep losing. Why am I going to keep losing and giving my body up and beat Walter out? So he retired. Well, Emmett was taking the money and dragging out his career. It was a joke in Arizona, man. And you were just clearly record chasing. Bro, you had the rings, you had the money, you had the fame. You really needed Walter Payton. You weren't Walter Payton, bro. I know, I at least know that. That's where I kind of went off the rails with Emmett a little bit.
We was going into Zales Jewelers, man. I know, forget this. With my sons, Kevin and Isaiah are roughly, I think Kevin was like 9 years old and Isaiah was like 7. And we were going into Zales Jewelers, and they're in Camarillo in the outlet, and I saw Barry Sanders. So I walked up to him, just as humble as anything else, man, and just asked him, I said, why'd you walk away? He said, I know people ask you all the time. I said, but ain't no cameras around. Why'd you walk away? He said, if I hadn't, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now and still be able to make sense of it all. He said, because the game was, the game was taking and chipping away at me little by little. And the people, I thought they loved me, but they only cared about what they wanted when they wanted it. They never really cared about me. So I walked away on my terms, and I'm okay with it. And it made sense to me, bro. And they still remember that. They got shirts. They still got the shirts to this day that he signed their shirts that they were wearing. You know what I mean? Barry Sanders.
That's pretty cool.
And the word is,
it's a good deal, man. He lived right there in Camarillo, California.
He asked to seek a trade, and we had a trade worked. We were willing to trade for him, and Detroit backed out and said we won't trade for him. It was going to be Marino's last year. It was going to have Barry Sanders. And
it's the same thing. They did the same thing. They did the same thing to Barry that they did to Calvin, bro.
Calvin, yeah. I hate that.
Nobody else will ever own you. Nobody else will ever have you. This is it. This is all. Yeah. So.
You feel bad for the fans because you want them to have a championship, but then you see what that organization did to those two players, and you're like, it's kind of karma a little bit. Where if Barry would have came here just for 1 year and won a championship with Marino, he'd be a freaking god in Miami. He would have retired a Dolphin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Richmond, who's the best running backs you saw ever play? I know he's not about to name Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, so we're safe from that.
I seen Earl. I was a big SMU fan, so Eric Dickerson, Craig James, the Pony Express when he was at SMU, and then like some of the guys you named, Thurman Thomas was another one. But Emmett, I always thought Emmett was nice. I think the thing that a lot of people forget is the Cowboys were loaded, like they had the great offensive line. But I can remember, I think it was after they won the first Super Bowl, Emmett was holding out, and the next year they lost the first 2 games, and they said get him in here. So he was definitely important to that team. He had a different running style. Barry was the type of guy that you didn't want to be in an open field with him. He would tear your knee up or something trying to tackle him. But Emmett was nice too. So
But you know what? It's because like what BallGame said. You remember when Fox had like the robots and stuff? How many times would you be watching a game and they'd cut away to it, and there'd be the trash Lions, and you'd see like 4 guys penetrate, and Barry's dancing like 5 yards, and then he's breaking it off for 60 to the house, and you're like, bro, what? Like that play should be dead as soon as it and Barry's just like, all right. The guy took on like 4 guys before he got to the line of scrimmage, and you'd see it like weekly. It wasn't like twice a season. You would see it like at least 6, 7, 8 times a year, where you'd be like, holy jeez, bro.
Gone.
Yeah.
Like he was just man.
Yeah, he was special.
We went
special.
We went to Oklahoma State.
Those feet, man. What the hell?
Yeah. We went to Oklahoma State.
He was a dog
that one year he started. That 1 year he started and ripped it up. And we caught him early, but it was every week he was putting up 200 plus yards. It was sick. It was crazy. So,
that's exactly it, man.
It was crazy.
It was sick. And this is when it was the run heavy era. Imagine what he'd do now with everyone focused on the pass, bro.
Yeah.
He'd be coming out of backfields. He'd be putting up like 2,500 all-purpose yards on people out here. He'd be crazy, man. Because he wouldn't have to worry about the penetrators like that. He'd have light boxes because the pass heavy offenses, and he just dance to the second level, have a picnic, and it's off. Oh man,
very, very few words spoken. Just hand him the ball, let him do what he does.
Yep. That's what I loved about him too, Richmond.
Real humble guy. Oh man, he's just
out of all sports, he might be one of the biggest class acts out of any sport you can talk about. Like I've never seen an athlete as elite and as great as him be so humble and respectful. As it just doesn't happen in hockey, or especially a lot of these guys have egos, right? And he's next level, man. Yeah, I got a total ton of respect. Anyways, Go ahead, BallGame.
He was the football like Jordan is the basketball, because you never hear you always hear kids out there on the playground. Barry Sanders. You know what I'm saying? So he had because my sons both of them wanted to play running back, and I was like, listen, bro, God didn't bless you with that. You need to get on that other side and play over there. But you know what I'm saying? It's okay to love Barry. You know what I mean? But he was one of the primary reasons why they took the football also too, because they met a great, man. They were able to meet a great, and they never forget that.
That's the one non-Dolphins jersey I still have as an adult. I had my baby blue throwback Barry Sanders, and I will never throw that away because he's one of my favorite athletes of all time. It's not even close, All right, so we went down that rabbit hole. That's awesome. That was a good conversation. Appreciate that, BallGame. That was awesome. I wanted to ask you guys about this. Oh, that was good, man. That was a great conversation. Listen, I want to ask you about this. Okay, guys, Armstead, first, obviously, it's the first injury report to come out. He did not practice today, but gentlemen, it's worse than that. He's listed as dealing with back, ankle, and knee issues. So either they're not even telling you where it's isolated, or this man got injured in training camp and then fell down the stairs at home or something. I don't know what happened, but so it could be.
What a lemon, bro.
But it could be they could be not telling you where it's isolated, right? They could just be saying all that just to throw you off, right? I don't know. Gentlemen, your thoughts on that? Go ahead, Richmond. Go. And Kendall Lamb will start if he cannot.
Did it come out? Is he listed as probable, doubtful, or questionable, or they hadn't put that out there yet?
He is listed as they just have him as Wednesday participation, did not practice, and they don't have him listed as anything right now. It's just back, ankle, knee.
You ain't the game that changed because I remember back when the injury report, you would have to.
You don't have to. You don't have to
do it
out till till minutes before. Remember when they tell you who's scratched and everything? You don't have to let them know till like minutes before when you hand in your rosters, your active 40 out of 47, 48 players.
I'm sure Vegas don't like that, but okay.
Well, I took us right now. We're underdogs. We're on FanDuel. It's the Chargers by 3. They give it -3. Yeah, it's -3. What did I take us? I took us by +3. I took Devin Achane on an anytime touchdown scorer. And baby, Braxton Berrios, 2 touchdowns at any time. I got a feeling underneath. We saw it all last year, how vacated the underneath was. Braxton, baby.
Yeah, that's all because of Waddle and Tyreek.
Yes, sir. So it pays off like 10 what is it, $10 pays off like 5,000.
Nice.
So
5,000?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a nice little lick, homie. That's some steak to go with the beans and rice. Hold up, man.
So what's your thoughts on Armstead, Richmond? Let's start with you because I mean it's Wednesday. Does not practice? Are you not putting stock into that yet? But we also know how fragile this guy is.
I'm not going to put stock in it. The only reason I'll say I'm not putting stock in it is because just talking to people, he really didn't practice a lot last year.
I agreed.
And
McDaniel talked about that today, Richmond, how he's used to him not practicing and him starting and et cetera, right?
And it was a couple times last year. I think, what was it, after he got hurt late in the season? He partially tore his pec. It was some injury he had in some kind of way. He gutted it out. So I think if he can be there, he'll be there. It's just you can't look at what's being done during the week because I think they just try to manage to, hey, as long as you can line up and suit up on Sundays, that's what we need. Don't worry about practice. So it's kind of like when we were scrimmaging against the Texans, I was out there practicing. Remember, he went down and then they pulled him out and then they said they carted him off. It didn't look that bad, but I think they just know, hey, it's not worth it. Let's not get him hurt, this and that. So I think he'll play, so I'm not going to panic yet, but definitely not good to be hearing back, knee, and ankle because that could be. Hopefully, it's nothing serious, but yeah, you hear that.
He doesn't get a paper cut too, huh? Or out of hand.
Easy with the cuts.
BallGame. What are your thoughts on Terron Armstead? What do you think he's going to play? Because I haven't even got confirmation. This is a crapshoot right now. It looks like it's not trending in a positive direction. Let's be honest with ourselves. We might see Kendall Lamb start on week 1. What are your thoughts on this? Because remember, this was our big investment last offseason. Now we did know, we were saying BallGame even last year, let's at least get 14 games out of them. I mean, you want me to tell you a little positive on this? Let's get these games missed out of the way early on before we get into the thick of things in December and January, sir. What are your thoughts on where we're at with Terron Armstead right now? He's happy.
Yeah, it sound good. Get him out of the way early, but it sound good. But the dog don't hunt for me, man. So you gotta put that. It's a lemon, man. It's a big lemon right now, bro. I ain't really feeling this. Yo, all pro left tackle.
Brandon Albert, BallGame. It's Brandon Albert all over again.
All over again, bro. Golly.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing, bro? Like, what is he not eating? Man, Richmond, come on now. You got to tell these boys, man, they just start eating some more grits, man. Put some cheese in them grits. Something. You know what I'm saying? Good Lord. I don't know, man. This is frustrating, bro. Because it's all right there, right? Revenge game. You got to fly out there. You need to knock them over the head. Go ahead and set the tempo, right? But, like, if you're going out there, big man down, like, now you got to hope that, I believe in Lamb. He made the team. They're here. They like him and whatnot. But, there's a difference, right? There's a difference between the two players. And Khalil Mack and Bosa, that's something different, bro. Like, real talk. And we always talk about it all along. You'd rather have 4 positions synced up and not worrying about them as much as and just deal with Austin Jackson. But now, shit, without him being out there, now you got the two edges, bro.
Yeah.
Like that limits you. That really limits what you can do. Creativity wise. Now you got to bring tight ends in and chip guys and hope the running back can get a chip to slow them up and all this other stuff. Like, come on, man. Like, bro, you gotta get healthy, man. Get in the hyperbaric chamber or something. All this money you're making, there should be no reason why this dude is dying hurt, bro. None whatsoever. I don't care. Find a voodoo lady in New Orleans and bring her and put her on retainer or something. Figure it out, bro.
Oh, and I agree with
like
what
the older you get, you got to start.
Like I don't
You
know.
got to go with some. You got to go with some stuff that's unconventional, bro. Like
yeah, you got the
you get paid. You get paid to be on the field, bro. Like real talk. Like he get paid to be on the field, not be standing over there on Sunday and stuff in his shorts and his t-shirt, watching these other dudes go out there. You know what I'm saying? Getting potentially ragdoll. We don't know. Hope they hold up. But like, come on, man. What you get paid for? You get paid to play. Be available, bro. That's your biggest commodity right now as a left tackle, right? That's what you got the big dollars to be available.
And he's I
don't like it, man. I don't like it.
Tell him, give him the Prince line. He needs to purify himself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. That's what he needs to do right now.
There you go.
Oh my God, that's what he's. But I agree with Alf. I think Alf, that's where the frustration lies. We agree with you. Like when he plays. I'll be the first one to tell you he's playing on a top 5, top 10 clip when he plays. I mean, we need him out there. Brandon Albert was the same way when he played. Man, him and Tunsil next to each other were so.
Tunsil next to each other.
Oh,
yes.
The unicorn line, right? So, listen, Terron Armstead. Listen, at the end of the day, you need to be healthy, and especially please be healthy for the playoffs because that's when we're really going to depend on you. Let's stick with the offensive line. I got some things to go over here. Let's play a clip today when Mike McDaniel was asked about Barry Jackson regarding the left guard situation, trying to pry an answer out of him. And this is what he said.
So, I'm not sure. I can't speak for other people, but me, myself, I am very fond of you, Barry. And out of no disrespect, do I not answer things. However, from a football coach's perspective, there's a lot of different ways that you can take information. So you just try to prioritize. Prioritize the team over you, but Armstead. Okay, so I would be an absolute fool to discount or really have any sort of.
So the first half was about the left guard job. He was asked about Isaiah Wynn.
What I'd only been around
and Lee Eichenberg, who would start.
Career, he did literally the entire
now he's telling you about Terron Armstead, not to count him out, basically.
So I have a hard time after all those reps ruling one way or the other. The great thing about Terron and myself, as well as the rest of the coaching staff, is we have a great communication amongst what's the best for the team, patience, and making sure that we don't go out there and take a step back. So that long-winded answer is like, to me as a professional coach, I plan when he's not practicing to play without him. However, I'm not going to go into that crystal ball because I would have been wrong when I was right last year. So I had a good conversation today, had a good conversation yesterday, and feel good where he's at mentally.
So, you listen to him talk about Terron Armstead, it's a little different, but the opening part where he was talking about was all about the left guard, and you could tell he wasn't willing to clarify about who was going to be playing left guard. We can all agree on that, right? So,
yep.
What later happened, Mike Girardi, who obviously probably has ties into Isaiah Wynn due to his time in New England, and Mike Girardi is the Boston Globe or the Boston Herald. He's one of those two. And he said, sounds like former Patriot Isaiah Wynn might be getting the week 1 nod at left guard for the Dolphins. So coming from his old stomping grounds where people have tied into, if you remember, one of the first statements out of my mouth this week when I returned from the Bahamas was Isaiah Wynn's going to be the starting left guard for you this week. That's what I've heard heading in. I've had David Fronas also on the channel publicly tell you that's what he's heard. Also, Chris Perkins let it a little Freudian slip a couple weeks ago in an article. So all the evidence is out there. I've been told that privately as well. Now Mike Girardi, who obviously has ties due to New England, the time at New England Isaiah Wynn spent into his camp, says he's going to get the nod on week 1. So gentlemen, I mean, is there much to say other than is this not all what we can agree we want and is the best look instead of Liam Eichenberg starting at left guard on week 1? Where are you at, Richmond? Do you like what you see from Isaiah Wynn better here, especially in the run game?
I think Isaiah outplayed him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I say, the film don't lie. If he outplayed him, he deserves it. So, you know, we talked about it before and this and that, and that was one of the questions I think, you know, we kind of discussed on the show is, you know, we felt that Isaiah had a better, you know, training camp than Liam Eichenberg. So he should have been named the starter. So, like I say, it's just some of the tactics they use in that, but I'm fine with it because I'm like, he should be rewarded for the work he's put in. You know, he worked for it. Yeah, I played the guy. So, yeah, he should be the starter.
All right, gentlemen, it's time to pick your offensive and defensive brains right now. Let's get into it. So, we're going to get into first on the offensive side. Great article by Daniel Oifusi, guys. A lot of work went into this. Let's go over this because historically, gentlemen, year 2 in the Shanahan offense, we expected year 2 of this offense already to be huge. But when we break down the numbers, let's get into what year 2 usually means for a Shanahan offense install. And gentlemen, history tells us that we are in store for a potentially huge leap offensively. So for all the Dolphins' offensive success in 2022, players and coaches believed they were in the elementary stages of Mike McDaniel's scheme. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill, maybe in a bit of a jest, claimed he was just thriving off athleticism. McDaniel compared quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's understanding of the offense to a foreign language and said that he has become fluent. With the core of an electric unit returning for the 2023 season, there are high expectations for the Dolphins offense. Side note, BallGame and Reason and Richmond from us, you can see now why they want to add that electric running back because think of why they want to add it while we're reading all this, okay? Because it's going to come crystal clear to all of you. All right? And for recent coaches executing the same Mike Shanahan style offense as McDaniel, the second year in the scheme has produced great results. Kyle Shanahan working as offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons in 2016 and Rams coach Sean McVay in 2018 both led offenses for teams that reached the Super Bowl in the second year under the Shanahan scheme, gentlemen. After finishing 15th in scoring in 2019, Matt LaFleur, the Packers head coach, and quarterback Aaron Rodgers returned for the second season together and had the highest scoring offense in the NFL. Rodgers was named the league's most valuable player. Even Kyle Shanahan in his second season as 49ers head coach, dealing with an early season injury to quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, improved in many offensive metrics in 2018 and then reached the Super Bowl in 2019 with Garoppolo playing all 16 regular season games. So remember, when we look at year 2 of the Shanahan offense, Garoppolo's hurt when we look at these numbers, okay? So in yards ranked, Kyle Shanahan, year 1 with Atlanta, ranked 7th. Year 2, 2nd. San Francisco was 12 and then dropped to 16th. Only a 4-spot drop without their starting quarterback. McVay, from year 1 to year 2, went from 10 to 2. Matt LaFleur went from 18 to 5. McDaniel was 6th in year 1. History tells us it's going to be probably 2 or 3 based off the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, and what Sean McVay did there, right? So point rank in year 1, Kyle Shanahan and that Falcons, guys, they went from 21 to 2. Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco with no quarterback stuck around 20 at 20 to 21. Sean McVay, 1 and 2. Matt LaFleur went from 15 to 1. McDaniel, 11. What's it going to be? History tells us it's going to end 10, right? Exactly. All the coaches worked alongside McDaniel in Washington when Mike Shanahan was head coach. With McDaniel, the latest Shanahan protege to lead an offense, are the Dolphins poised for a similar jump in 2023? When Tagovailoa was healthy, the Dolphins had arguably the most prolific passing offense in the NFL. Tagovailoa led the league in passer rating, was the top passer targeting the middle of the field, first in passing yards and passer rating. With Tagovailoa throwing to Hill and Jalen Waddle, the fastest receiver two in the NFL, the Dolphins finished second in net yards per pass attempt, which factors into sacks and sack yards according to PFR. Pro Football Reference. However, there are still questions regarding if they can replicate the success in 2023 after late season struggles against the 49ers and the Chargers. Ahead of the regular season opener in a rematch against the Chargers, McDaniel downplayed the uniqueness of the Chargers' defensive game plan last year. Miami has tinkered with ways to evolve the passing game outside of the middle of the field concepts they're so good at. So, in net yards per pass attempt rank, Shanahan with the Falcons, they went from year 1, 10-1. Shanahan with no Garoppolo with the 49ers went from 16 on year 1 to 11 in year 2. McVay went from 7-3. LaFleur went from 16-2. Mike McDaniel was 2 in year 1. What's he going to go to? In a conference call, ESPN analyst Dan Orlovsky said play action passing is an area in which the Dolphins could improve. According to Sharp Football Analysis, Tagovailoa ranked 24th out of 48 qualifying quarterbacks in EPA, which is expected points added per attempt on play action. For as good as they were in pre-snap with their motions and their formations, and as good as they are in their RPO game, Tua was not very good in play action last year, which I pointed out regularly, which was a surprise because all the years before he was great. I don't know if Tua sees the play action as well as he sees a drop back. He added, I think, one building a play action game that has at least they can be a little more efficient and effective is a big deal because that carries you through levels of the season with injuries. It helps protection. Usually most play action concepts have places to go with the ball indifferent of coverage. So let's get into the running game. And I want everyone to keep in mind of why they want to add someone at the trade deadline and why they called on Saquon, Josh Jacobs, why they're interested in Dalvin, why they went so hard for Jonathan Taylor. Keep that in mind with the section we're about to get into right now. If the Dolphins offense improves in 2023, is likely because of the emergence of a running game that gives the unit a balanced approach. Miami ranked 19th in yards per attempt at 4.3 last season. Of the aforementioned former Shanahan assistants, only Kyle Shanahan with the Atlanta Falcons ranked lower in the first season. But look at what we're about to watch. But each of the coaches primarily opening up the zone running scheme had better efforts in year 2 as the offensive line worked with more cohesion. McDaniel has said he should run the ball more than his first year as a play caller. Mike is so creative and is so special on the outside that you have to be almost hard-headed to it, Orlovsky said. So check this out, guys. Kyle Shanahan, year 1 with Atlanta, 25th in rush yards per attempt rank. In year 2, guys, he jumped to 5th overall.
It's crazy.
Kyle Shanahan, year 1 to year 2, went from 17 to 12. Sean McVay went from 7 to 3. LaFleur went from 16 to 7th. And McDaniel's sitting there at 19. So, BallGame, what does that tell us? We're going to be in the top 8, right?
Top 8.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right? Anywhere you from 5 to 8, you know what I mean? Any improvement will be mainly from an internal growth. Despite looking into many upgrades at running back, the Dolphins didn't make deals for players such as Cook and Taylor, and Miami didn't make any major additions to the offensive line, though Isaiah Wynn could be the week 1 starter at left guard, even said here. McDaniel brought in Butch Barry, whom he worked with in San Fran as the new offensive line coach. In this second year for me, I feel more comfortable going to my landmark and to my spots, and I know the plays, right guard Robert Hunt said, which he could hit that all-pro level. Should have signed him, Greer. So for me, I'm just playing football. I'm just going, and I hit the spot. And, gentlemen, that's when you're at your best, is when you're not thinking. You're just playing. You're reacting. Your instincts take over, right? Sometimes I don't hit the spot, and I've just got to play football. At the end of the day, it's about winning. For me, I think the second year has been really good because you kind of have an idea of what you want. But also, you understand we have a new coach, so the coaching may be a little different than it was last year. Same system, same plays, but the coaching and little details may be a little different, and I think Butch is doing a hell of a job. In the preseason, the Dolphins looked like a squad that could be one of the better rushing teams in the NFL. Miami ranked 3rd in rushing yards and 2nd in yards per rush. It was an encouraging showing for a group potentially more proficient in an already potent offense. With the offensive line, we're happy with it, Chris Greer said. I think you've seen the progress in the last few years with the fundamentals and the teaching the offense in the preseason, in the run game. They've done some good things. And gentlemen, I think this is another reason why Isaiah Wynn's going to start, because you see how proficient he is in the run game compared to your Lester Cottons or your Liam Eichenbergs, right? So let me get your thoughts on that ball game. We're going to start with your defensive mind, then we'll go over to Richmond here, and then I'm going to flip y'all on the next one when we get into the defensive thing here. But let's go ball game. Your thoughts when you look at those year 2 jumps. Could this year 2 leap for this offense be even bigger than we already expected it to be? And we already have used the word this year could be historic. Could it be even bigger than we're thinking?
I think about the makeup of those teams, and I think about the players that they had in place on those teams that were mentioned. And we're very different in terms of explosiveness. As you know, they had Julio, right, in Atlanta, but like there's one guy, right? Roddy White was on the decline, but Waddle is trending upward, and Tyreek is still holding strong as, you know, arguably the top receiver in the league. And the article even said it, right? They're the fastest duo out there. So that in itself does amazing things for your running game, especially from a defensive perspective. And if I got to sit out and think to myself, what do I want to give up more? Do I want to give up 60, 70-yard bombs, or would I be okay with allowing some run yards? That's where these guys can really take advantage of it. They go out and they say to themselves, we know you can't stop us on the pass. We can get what we want when we want it. And they have to force you to try to figure out how you're going to stop us with 4 up front and put everybody else in coverage. Now you're playing into our hands. And that's what I've always said along. Like last year, I wanted to see them make this transition into them dictating to teams instead of taking what teams give you. No, make them have to adjust to you. Same concept on defense as you have on offense. And if we come out and we press the issue, right, with the amount of talent this team has, that changes the landscape completely. Now defensive coordinators are having to adjust on the fly to what you're doing, and most don't, because most will stay stubborn and say, you know what, we're going to run, we run. If they crack it, then we'll shift. Well, if I crack it right out the gate, I crack your code right out the gate. Now I got you. Now I got you fumbling through your sheet trying to figure out what's next, because now everything opens up for me. And I think with the balanced run attack of them being, you know, and him making a commitment to run the ball early and often, that'll also improve the whole play action thing that Tua's not good at, because then at that point, you got linebackers second guessing themselves. You got guys trying to go and make up space that they're worried about being exploited. And, you know what I'm saying, guys starting to have to think more, because when a quarterback comes from under the center and he's fakes that ball and puts it into the belly of that running back, and they're expecting that guy, the linebackers have to honor that. That's what we don't have. Having a Jonathan Taylor, guy like Jonathan Taylor back there, though, the linebackers got to take that read step. They always going to have to take it every time. And it's going to be even more pronounced when, you know, you can give the ball to the guy and he click off 5-6 yards of carry. You see what I'm saying? Now, everybody's befuddled. They're over on the sideline yelling and screaming at each other, mad. Guys saying, hey, man, you're not feeling, bro. I need you to take this guy on. Man, I got 2 guys on me. What you talking about? I'm in my gap. You know what I mean? So that frustrates the hell out of a defense when they have no answer for what you're doing. And a good running game will help with all of that. Everybody know we can pass the ball. Everybody know Tua and, you know what I'm saying, and Waddle and with Barrios, they're going to eat. But we can get that established run game, like the stats said, and they're supposed to jump, and it jumps like it's supposed to in year 2 in this system. Yeah, they're going to be tough to beat, bro. I don't care what teams put out there, 11 on 11. I don't think there's going to be 11 that people can put out there going to be better than the 11 that we can field. So,
what do you think about the evolution in year 2, Richmond? This clearly shows that the coaches, not only the personnel evolve in the system, but the coaches evolve in year 2 in the system. What are your thoughts after seeing the big leaps? I mean, you know, we've got comparable stats even to the rush yards per net attempt with what Shanahan was doing, 25th in the first year and then jumped to 5th in the second year. You know, LaFleur 16th in the first year, you know, jumping to 7th in the second year. We're 19th in McDaniel's first year, and there's clearly an emphasis to run the ball more. What are your thoughts? And hey, the staggering stat there, Richmond, How many of those coaches went to the Super Bowl in year 2, right?
Yeah, well, stats a lot of times can help you determine stuff, but I think we all knew that we had high expectations for Mike McDaniel's offense. It seemed like it's really complicated. The other thing I looked at too was, when he took time this offseason, he kind of discussed and went through all those 700 plays or something, or Tua, and what he expected this and that. So he not only just said, we're going to plug these guys into my offense, but he studied and said, okay, what does this guy do good, this and that? And it was some of the throws, and I remember we talked about it on the show, that Tua could make that he couldn't do with like a Jimmy Garoppolo or whatever because of his skill set. It's different, this and that. So I definitely expected to be open up. And then the other thing I was thinking about when BallGame was talking, because he was bringing up great points, is I remember when Mike McDaniel first got here, Deebo Samuel wanted to come here. But even if you look at the 49ers last year, they had Deebo, but then they go make a trade for McCaffrey. It's a nice changeup. So like BallGame said, we got the speed guys with A-Chain, Moser, all those type of guys. But if you can bring in a guy like Taylor or the Dalvin Cook, this and that, it gives you that changeup, and it gives you that same kind of dynamic that they have, because like BallGame was saying, it keeps those linebackers honest. They can't just say, well, I can just bail up out of here, because if that guy's back there, they said, I got to check and make sure, because if they get out of there and he breaks through there, now you got hell on your hands. But also the thing with, Robert Hunt said, he's just getting comfortable. I think this is a complicated offense. And even though you know it, I think at times you probably think about it because the game plan continuously changes depending on the opponent. But when you get it down and you know it, like you were saying, you just go out and react. And then at times there are going to be plays where you just got to be a football player, but it's easier to do that when you don't have to think, you just go out and react. So looking at the stats and stuff like that, I'm expecting this offense to be one of the easily top 5. But then to go along with that, to couple that and put it together with Fangio's defense, I think if it could be truly dynamic. The thing is just us staying healthy and remaining consistent. If we do that, I could definitely see it happen. So I think that's why everybody's so excited.
So let's talk about Fangio's defense. For you guys, is it the biggest key? Is Fangio the biggest key to securing a week 1 win? And the reason why I say that is not just his defense. He's going to be sitting up in the booth. We know he's a consult for the Philadelphia Eagles offense for what their defense was going to do. He's going to be able to watch Staley, see how defenders are rotating, what he's doing. Remember, everything Staley does, he's shown. Fangio's been talking about how he's got tricks up his sleeve. You know what I think, that Herbert and Staley are going to walk in at halftime scratching their head because they're going to see stuff from Fangio they haven't seen yet. And I think it's going to be one of those late quarter adjustments, and it's going to be too little too late. And that's why I think we win 27-13. And I think our offense is prepared for whatever Staley throws. And even if they throw some little wrinkle, Fangio done seen it, and Fangio's going to expect it, and Fangio's going to ID it. And he's sitting up top, and he's going to relay that to Mike and the crew. So let me ask you guys, because I see also Charger fans trying to say, well, Herbert in his 4 games against, Fangio in 2020 and 2021, he has a 0.12 EPA per drop back, expected points added, and him against everyone else is 0.126. Like, it's great. And Fangio versus every other quarterback in 2020 and 2021, their EPA was 0.041, so a quarter of what Herbert did. And they're not taking into context, I think our defense is much more talented than the defenses he had in 2020 and 2021. He was also a head coach with the walls caving in on him around due to the quarterback situation. There's a lot more going on over there, where this time he's just focused on the defense. He's refreshed. He's got a lot of new tricks up their sleeve. Let's start with you, Richmond, because you brought it up. Is Fangio one of or the biggest key to our success on Sunday against the Chargers in week 1?
I think so. And I don't think just this Sunday, I think every Sunday. I think it was such a huge upgrade to bring a guy on staff like that. And then with, guys like Phillips, Chubb, with them putting the pass rush on, and then you got X. We talked about Holland, Cam Smith, IVG. It's so many guys that really I think are going to benefit from the systems he's going to run, and I think it's going to be confusing. So if it confuses or causes a quarterback to hesitate, and then you got guys like Phillips and Chubb, and if they get some early hits or get him settled or rattled early on, it could be really ugly. But I think it's going to be definitely some confusion. He's just that type of coordinator that a lot of times that make a seasoned quarterback, if he's not really careful, he can make you feel real uncomfortable because it can look like something and it's something else, and then he takes away what you're really trying to do. If he figures that out, it's going to be a long day for Herbert.
What do you think, BallGame?
I think you got two unique matchups that's going to be happening on Sunday, and it comes down to McDaniels against whoever's calling the defense for the Chargers, and obviously Fangio against Staley and his think tank. And I'm always err on the side of experience. I mean, who knows more about what this defense is capable of and the concepts that can take away things from this young quarterback and what they're going to be trying to establish over there than Fangio. I mean, they all running heat. The guy's clearly running a version of Fangio's defense. So I would always think to myself, I can be a student of Bruce Lee, but I don't think I'd ever be able to beat Bruce Lee. You feel me? Like at the end of the day, you know, the Zen master is Fangio, and you know, I don't think across the board. Like if you look at the matchups, I think Mike is one of the best offensive minds in the game, and I just don't believe that whoever they got over there knows this defense as well as Fangio knows it, to be able to take away from what Fangio can give Mike as tidbits through the headset to help him if he gets stalled out, if he's seeing things that he just not quite understanding. That in itself is invaluable. Having two, I mean, we say it all the time, but we have legitimately two head coaches on this staff, one for defense and one for offense. Those two minds together are going to create some amazing music, man. I mean, it's just going to be a symphony. I believe they're going to write their own symphony on Sunday, and it's going to all start this beautiful, the beauty of what's going to be this season for us. Experience matters, bro. Like,
yeah.
I can't see them, and what I know, you know, Herbert he's an amazing young talent, but you know what I'm saying, he's still the check down king to the running back too.
Eckler.
We're gonna take that away. We're gonna take that away and force him to put the ball.
Or we're just gonna make bro, every time Eckler gets that ball, he's gonna wish he didn't get it, bro. That's what you gotta do, right? Make him not want to catch that ball, man. You know?
Yeah. Touch him early and touch him often. And you know, even the best running backs eventually, you know what I mean, even if he's going up for a pass, them arms get shorter. You know what I'm saying? And every time he catch one, somebody gotta be there to lay the wood on him, you know, pause. And then them arms get shorter. You start looking over his shoulder, start missing a couple, and then next thing you know, quarterback's frustrated. Now he wants to press the issue, and it looks like 6 or it looks like 3, but it's really roll 6. You know what I'm saying? Or it could be quarters, right? Which is going to turn out the 7 yards into man, and then the guys take the inside leverage, and you think the post is there because he's supposed to be outside leverage. You think your guy got the post because they done made a pull route to the safety, and all of a sudden the corner's there to take it away from him. All of those things are tricks that they're going to be able to play inside of this defense that I just don't think Herbert's ready for. Their guy can't generate that over there for them. I'm sorry. This is Fangio's defense, and nobody knows it better than him. So it's gonna be a beautiful thing, I believe.
Shout out to Kyle F. He says, "Bro, what is that boss contract?" He just joined, and John C says, "Key Beakers this week, just like Mr. Webb, Marino, Keith Jackson, and Troy Vincent's 3 picks, but on the Chargers in the playoffs, they won't know what hit them. Go Dolphins! Great show, guys. All right, gentlemen, before we got one last thing to go over here just quickly for everyone. If they weren't keeping up with it, Eric Saubert was released from IR today with an injury settlement. So Julian Hill, here come even more opportunities for you, and it makes us wish it should have kept Elijah Higgins. Anyways, gentlemen, Yeah. Final thoughts before we get out of here. We'll start with you, BallGame. Final thoughts heading in to this Sunday. Your score prediction. What do you see the score winding up being? How do you see this playing out? Your final thoughts heading into week 1. And hopefully we see each other on a Victory Monday, BallGame.
I'm going to go 31-13 Dolphins and a very lopsided victory. I think this defense is going to be befuddled and confuse the shit out of Herbert to the point that he's going to make a lot of mistakes, and this offense is going to establish itself behind the run game. I believe Mike when he said that's going to be a focus for him. Tyreek, Waddle, and Berrios are going to give him hell anyway, and that's going to open up the middle of the field, and they're going to get the linebackers to having to adjust a lot more, which is going to leave some of these double teams up front that on this wide zone is going to be able to get behind Robert Hunt and Jackson, and then cut back up inside, and the linebackers are going to get walled off by the backside guard that's reaching up to the next level, and it's going to be a long day for the Chargers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so 31-13 for me. It's going to be another day at work for them. I don't think they're going to be looking ahead. You know what I mean? They're going to go take care of this business and get back to South Florida as soon as possible so they can get ready for the next week. But I don't think the Chargers are going to be ready for what's coming. So
John C. says key breakers, not beakers, 24-20 Dolphins. Richmond, your prediction and your final thoughts heading into this game.
Yeah, I counted with BallGame, but I said 31-17. I think our offense is going to really come out. I know how it is. You got 2 quarterbacks out the same class, and I think Tua's going to be hyped and want to, shine and this and that. So I think it's game 1. I know how it is. You're feeling good at the start of the season. Everybody want to, start out right. And I think, I talked to, like I said before, I talked to Robert Hunt. This team is confident. And even when I talked to him, I said, man, I like the way y'all are confident about talking about the Super Bowl. He said, yeah, but we still got work to do. So even though they're confident, they didn't just sit back and just relax and say, okay, where we need to be, this and that. The thing that really impressed me was he said, no, we still got to continue to work because we're not where we want to be. So if they continue to work and continue to prove it and say, okay, yeah, we scored 31 points, but we probably left 2 touchdowns out there, or the defense say, well, we should have had at least 1 or 2 more takeaways. When you get a team hungry like that and they continue to want to work and strive and then start getting the results, I think this team can be scary. So I think the Dolphins are going to be ready. I think Terron Armstead is going to play, but I'm thinking at least 31-17. That's what I'm going with.
All right, gentlemen. Remember, I will be back tomorrow at around between 4:30 and 5. Look out for me and Neil for another episode of Fin Too Deep. Friday, I'll be live around 5 o'clock-ish, and we'll be doing the official preview show of the Chargers and the Dolphins. I'll break it all down. We'll go in depth. So we'll do that breakout, and then we'll be live Sunday just after 4 o'clock for live reaction to the game. And then after the game, it's going to be an open show for all of you guys, the return of the 4th quarter post-game show, open panel for fans to celebrate or vent a victory or loss of the Dolphins. So until tomorrow, guys, fins up. Appreciate all y'all for coming out. We had almost 500 people in the room tonight. Appreciate the support. We'll see you on the next one.